Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we're going to be seeing how to reverse each word in a string. So let's take an example. Learning is fun. So this is going to be the string and we're going to reverse it starting from NUF and then a space SI, a space GNINREAEL. So this is going to be our output and we're going to see how we can do this. So uh, we can think of it like this. First, we need to separate each word from this entire string. From this entire string, we need to separate the words and then we need to reverse each words and then finally after reversing them we need to add them to the string. So we can do this very quickly. I'm going to show you how. The first thing we can do is separate the words. So when you're saying talking about separating the words, we can use something called as the split function. So this split function will actually So this split function is really helpful when you want to split your string into split the string into words and that too in an array of words. That means when we're using this split function, it will separate this into words and this will put them into an array. Okay, now after we put them in an array, we can take each element from that array and we can reverse them using a for loop logic, which I'll show you in the code. So we can reverse it and we can keep an empty string, let's say R. Okay, let's say this string is empty. We can simply use the concatenation method and we can simply add the words to it and finally print them out. Okay, this is the basic logic that we're going to apply. I'll show everything in the code. Let's go. So first we want to have a string. So let's have learning is fun. Next, we are going to have a string array. Okay, this array is going to have all the words inside it. So first we need to use our string variable. Okay, and then we will use the split function and we need to specify on what factor are we gonna split this. Okay, on what factor are we gonna split this? So in my case, we are going to split this using the space because after space we get a full word. Okay, so we will split this accordingly. Now what will happen here is it will form an array. Now inside this array we will have our words separately. Okay, so this is how it's gonna look. Now after this, we are going to initialize an empty string. Now this string is going to be our result string. This string will hold the final result. Okay? And now let's start with the actual logic. Now we've got an array of words. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to use a for each loop to loop through this array. Okay, so that we can pick out each word one by one. Now inside this for each loop we are going to initialize another string. Now this shouldn't be initialized outside. This is what I'm going to call the reverse string. Now this will reverse the words, each word in this array, and it will add it to the resultant string. Okay, now let's introduce another for loop. Now it's going to use the reverse logic. Now here we are writing the reverse logic. Inside this, what I'm going to do is I am going to reverse each word, each string inside this array. So we need to give the length of this string. Okay, so we're doing w.length I length -1 because the indexing starts from 0 greater than equal to 0, and I plus minus, I'm sorry, we want to decrement the length, and then in the reverse string we are going to add each character from the reverse. It's going to add it from the reverse. Okay, now after that, after this, in the result, we will add the reversed string with a space. We want to add with a space. Okay, now after this we will print them out. We'll print it with the trim because of course we'll print it with so that it will remove the trailing spaces, and let's run the program. We got a, oh sorry, result. Let's run it, and you can see here this is the output that we expected. Now let's quickly dry run this and let's see how it works. Okay, so first step, we are splitting it, and you know that it's going to form into an array, right? So it's gonna have learning is fun, and these are inside an array. Now what happens here is we are using a for each loop in our next step. So we are using a for each loop. You can see here after we split, we are using a for each loop to access each word. Okay, so in our case, learning is going to be the first word that we will access. Okay, now in the next step we are having the result variable empty. Now in the next step we will go through a for loop. Okay, now inside this for loop actually we will go from the -1, which means learning, let's say how many letters it has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's gonna go from 7 to 0. Okay, so s dot char out, w dot char out I. Now this means the character at that position, the character at 7 will be added to the result. I mean to the reverse. This is not result, reverse. So here we will be adding this character. Okay, then 7, then it will go 6, then 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1, then 0. So here we will finally have the reverse of this word, GNINRAEL. Now what will happen is we will finish the for loop. This for loop will be over. Let me show you in the code. Now the execution of this for loop will be done. And then in the resultant, we will add that with a space. Okay? Now this will be added with a space. So in the result, we will have GNINRAEL, and with a space, we will have it. Okay? Now the same thing will go for the next word, which is. In is, it will go for the next word. After you go for the next word, here you will have a key thing that you need to note here, because after you go for is, okay, here this for loop, after you go for the next word in the array, the string will be set back to empty, because again the reverse logic will work. Again this for loop will run. So inside that for loop you will go through the character of is. So w dual length -1. So the length of this is true. So you will go from 1 to 0 as dot character I, and you will add that to your reverse string. Now this is empty, so it will add these values, and then after you get this string, again you will add that to your result. Now in this result, you will already have your learning in reverse, GNINRAEL, with the space, and now you will add this SI. And remember with the space, because that's what we included in the code. Now the last word, it will come to the last word of this, it will come to the last word of the array, and again it will go through inside this for loop, and that will add it to the string. Now this is what will happen to the font. So when you go inside this, and then the reversing will be set back to the empty string, and again it will start adding the values from the end of your string and then add it to the result. Now here you can see here an extra space is getting added because in our code, we have given that the resultant, we should add the reverse, the values that are in, and then a space. Okay, so to remove the space in the output, we are giving this trim function. This trim will remove the spaces, unnecessary spaces at the end of your string. Okay,